Has running your business left you feeling exhausted, unmotivated, and completely disconnected from your why? If you're nodding your head, you might be experiencing burnout. And if you are, we have an amazing resource for you. Burned: How Business Owners Can Overcome Burnout and Fuel Success is your guide to regaining control and reigniting your passion. Our friend and fellow business owner Julie B. wrote this book after her own epic burnout. Burn bright, not out, because your business and your well-being deserve it. Grab your copy of Burn today at the link in our show notes and fuel your success.
Do you ever wish you could be a fly on the wall for conversations between successful women entrepreneurs in different industries?
That's exactly what Breaking Even Better podcast is.
Every week, we'll share raw,
real,
and unfiltered insights from our experiences scaling our businesses
and helping others do the same.
Welcome back to Breaking Even Better, where your host, Carolina, Brenda, and Trish, three award-winning business owners, bring you real talk, smart strategies, and a whole lot of fun.
And today, we're diving into a topic that's absolutely crucial for any business: turning your customer reviews into marketing gold. Whether you're glowing testimonials or constructive critiques, your reviews are untapped powerhouse for growing your brand.
And let's be honest, nothing builds trust faster than real feedback from happy customers. Honestly, you can get real feedback and they're not so happy, and that's actually very helpful too. But truly, nothing builds trust than happy feedback from your existing customers, especially if you have a prospect that's checking you out and they're looking for a similar experience. So let's talk about how you can leverage those reviews to bring in more business and make your marketing work smarter, y'all, and not harder.
All right, so first, let's talk about why customer reviews are so important. And did you know that 93% of consumers say online reviews influence their purchasing decisions? That's huge. And I'm just going to throw in there that for all the trips that I do with my daughter, she always tells me, let me go consult my sources, i.e., social media, for the reviews.
I know that's right.
And then we end up having the best time.
You know, you're right about that. I feel like that's the same thing with the younger generation. They rely on reviews. I should do a lot better, because even now on Amazon it says this is a frequently returned item that I'm about to return because I didn't read the reviews. But first thing we need to do is make it easy. Have a direct link to your webpage, your emails, your invoices, or receipts where people can leave reviews about you.
Yeah, and timing is everything, because the best time to leave a review, I think I talked about this in a previous podcast too, that the best time to leave a review is like right away, right? So I love that. I love it when a client leaves me a review right away, because it's real and it's fresh. And I just want you to know, when you're leaving reviews, leave them fast too. Make sure it happens, because once they've had a great experience with you, or you've had a great experience with them, like, get it out there now, get it while they're hot. So it doesn't matter if it's a completed project, doesn't matter if it's a purchase. If they've had a win with your service, make sure you ask for the review.
So we know that reviews matter, but how do we actually get more of them? It's not enough to just hope people leave a review. You have to ask for it, right? Especially when we're talking about service-based businesses such as ours, where we're not necessarily selling a product online, where people just, review the product and say, yeah, great or not great. Services is a little bit trickier for smaller businesses, or just even any business when it comes to service. So how do we get them?
So I would say that the key with that too is kind of like what we do with sales, is you have to ask for it. And sometimes it's really lovely when they're like, oh, we're going to leave you a great review and stuff. As a matter of fact, I have a client right now who I said, hey, would you mind leaving a great review, or like a review about your experience? I don't think I said great review, but they love us. So I'm like, let me hit that up. And I know she's busy, and I kind of feel bad, because I'm like, I need you to leave that review, man, like, make it happen. So a lot of times it's the ask, kind of like with sales, like you have to kind of ask for the business. You need to ask for the review. And there are cool ways to do it. I mean, you don't have to just ask. There are ways that you can do it where there's an incentivization, and again, depending on your industry, because again, I know I've mentioned Nicole previously, like she can't incentivize people because of the nature of what she does. But I'm in marketing and I will incentivize the hell out of you. Like, what do you want? What you need? I'll get it for you. So incentives are huge for getting, again, it's not a paid review. I don't love a paid review, but I do love like, hey, if you remember to leave us a review, I'll give you a $10 gift card to
Mm,
local coffee house of your choice.
yep.
So now
Yep.
for the fun part then. Since we got the reviews, how could you take those reviews and use them to market your business?
Y'all, you got to just put a billboard across your chest. You just make sure it's written across your back. You got to run it up on the side of your car. No, but in all seriousness, everywhere. Try to use them as often as you can. Try to put them on your website. Try to put them on your social media. I put them in my proposals. So I know, like, when I'm sending out a proposal, particularly because I do have lots of clients in different industries, not in 1,000 different industries, but I have a few industries that really work well with me. So what I'll try to do is pair a real world testimonial in the proposal to somebody who's in a similar or an adjacent business. So I love doing that. I don't really use brochures because I'm in more of a digital space, but brochures, if that's something that your business does well with, then absolutely put testimonials and put the person, again, get their permission, but put the person's name or their website or the nature of their industry and put it on your site, your social media, all the things, anywhere where you think your prospects are going to spend their time and where they're going to research you, like your daughter. Where are they looking for you? So like put it there.
I tell you what, one of my clients, he's a public speaker, and obviously speaking comes very easily to him. So he does video testimonials. And he sent me one to thank me for the work that we had done. And it like blew my mind because he took however many minutes to do this. He was like in the gym and he was like on his treadmill and he just said, I want to pop in here and I want to just give you a shout out because XYZ. And I was like, oh my God. And I can now post this on social media. Thank you very much. But it was just the thought and how cool it was that it was a video. It wasn't just, some notes. So that might be an idea.
That's good that you repurposed it and turned it into social media. You can turn them into reels. You can just post, if they write it, you can just post that online. But using those reviews and repurposing them when they do, just send them sporadically. That's a great idea. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing too, and I'm going to nerd out a little bit from an SEO perspective that if you do have somebody that leaves a review, and in your case, Carolina, somebody leaves you a positive review and they're like, she's one of the best bookkeepers in Charlotte, North Carolina, or something like that, like best bookkeeper, Charlotte, North Carolina, label, especially the video. If you can label the video inside of YouTube, and this is fun fact, kids, so if you're out there, you're going to want to write this one down.
Yay.
YouTube is owned by Google, of course. So video content is over rewarded by Google's properties. So anytime you can actually use like a keyword phrase that you'd want to rank for, like best bookkeeper in Charlotte, let's just say, and you put that in like the tag or the title or in the content of the actual YouTube video, it could be one of the first things that shows up when people are looking for, best bookkeeper in Charlotte. So more on that at another time, but there are many ways that you can actually and literally turn it into marketing gold because that gets viewed and viewed and viewed over and over and over again. And they haven't even come to your Google business profile yet where they can see your reviews there. This they find, well, it's 10 steps before that. So I just love that. And one other tip that I want to, yeah, I know, good for you. So one other thing that I want to point out, and I have got to find this clip because it's the funniest thing. And maybe I'll find the clip and put it in the show notes or something. I saw this coffee shop online that somebody gave them like a horrendous review, just like, this is the shittiest coffee and blah, 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 or whatever, something like that. So they took like one of those little chalkboards and they said, according to 0 stars, according to, whatever, Brenda of Miss Charlotte, we hate blah, 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 blah. And they left that out there. So people just started laughing. And that actually worked, like the 1 star, 0 star review actually worked in their favor. But when it comes to like your service or if you're in a professional services. Obviously, we've got to be a little bit more rigid than a coffee shop could be in Asheville or whatever. So, regardless of the kind of reviews you get, you should leave a response. Say either thank you for the great review or thank you for the poor review. We always thrive on feedback. So, every time somebody says we're great, there's no place to go but up. But if somebody says we fell short, where can we do better? So, a lot of people get scared to respond to ugly reviews. Don't be. Lean into it.
Yeah, so that was gonna be my next question, right? Because it's great when you get the positive reviews, but like, what do you do when they're bad? And I know
Right.
that you and I share a common friend, and
Yes, we do.
yours, and that happened recently. So
It
what do you
did.
do then?
Yeah, and she panicked. She did. She called me. She's like, girl, she's like, so, and I said, all right, well, first things first, how much of it is true? Like
Right.
before we address any of it, how much of it is
Right.
true? She's like, honestly, some of it and some of it isn't true. Like this
Mm.
person really just went like right over the top. I said, right, they're rage writing. So you
Mm.
just
Right.
have like what we can't do is rage respond.
Hmm.
Right.
Okay, so we let them lose their minds, validate what's real, and then say you can kind of phrase it in such a way where it's like, well, I'm sorry that that was your experience, and phrase it in such a way it's like that's all a bunch of BS and none of that happened, but this part did, and for that we apologize. And
Mm.
then my big recommendation on this is to take the conversation offline.
Mm.
So I've seen people literally implode on getting a bad review and then end up in like a back and forth on a review. I was like, wow, you do not look like a pro at all. One of the like it's just not the way to go. Like don't blow them up online. It just doesn't make sense. And it also makes you look guilty and unprofessional. So you're
Mm.
much better off saying like, oh, well, Trish, we hated you because we got a website from you and it doesn't look the way we wanted. And then you ignored us and hated us and charged us double. It's like, okay, so you had something you didn't like, thought we had communicated that, but perhaps I didn't. Mea culpa. I'm sorry. As far as the charging double, not really sure where you got that, but I'd love to talk to you about it offline because that is not our practice. You are full of shit. Like
Right.
just like slide it in there or whatever. So
Right. So the things you should do is respond professionally and promptly. Thank your reviewer for actually putting out the feedback, acknowledge their concern, and offer resolution. That's what you should do. However,
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 I love the
I,
however, those are my favorite.
however, I did get one bad review so far in my 14 years, right? 14, 25, yeah, 14 years. I got one bad review and it did hurt and it stung, but I left it. I left it. Because they offer to remove your bad reviews and stuff. I left it because at the end of the day, I'm human.
Hmm.
This particular one, I didn't do anything wrong. This was the actual person. She got fired from her job the second day there because she had gave like 50 million names. We ended up going to court and everything. And she lost. 3 times we went to court and she lost all 3 times. And I'm like, lady, you trying to impersonate a fraud. You can't do that. And then you gonna give me a bad review. And that I know the day that I responded, I'm like, this isn't true. However, we can talk about it offline. So I tried, and she kept going on and on. And I'm like, you gave all these names, but we can talk about the rest offline. And it just, like you said, it just continued to go on and on. And then eventually I stopped and she stopped. But at the end of the day, she did put that review out there and she did want to continue to argue so everybody could see. But I knew what I was supposed to do. But like you said, when you're in the mix and in the heat, you just go there. And I knew I wasn't going to take it all the way too far, but I wanted her to realize, and those people who was reading the stuff she was saying, that no, this wasn't our fault. I would have handled it differently. But I did what you wanted. You took me to court and you lost
Mm.
That's
three
right.
times.
That
So
part.
stop. Stop
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
I mean, I think, bad reviews, nobody likes to get them, right? It doesn't sit well when you get a bad review, especially if you know that you've done your best or whatnot, because everybody has an opinion,
Right.
and we're not always going to agree with things. But I think it does give us the opportunity to improve our businesses, right? Because
Mhm.
if we really look at what is it that the person is complaining about or criticizing, or what is it that they're saying, and we take the personal feelings out of it, then we can see, oh, here's an opportunity to improve this process, or here's an opportunity for our team to get trained on XYZ. Here's an opportunity for me to respond differently or act different, whatever the case might be. I think it can help us do some self-reflection, is what I want to say, instead of just seeing it as a negative thing, which it is, but at the same time, it's a lesson.
Right. I agree. I feel like when after that occurred, then I had to redo my contract because everything she wanted, I wanted to make sure. Now you initialing beside it, saying you understand instead of it just being in a paragraph and you sign at the bottom and miss the whole thing. Now you have to initial beside everything. All the stuff we went to court for, you initialing right now. So thank you. Thank you for helping me get my contract ironclad.
So I want to address one other thing with regards to reviews, and it comes with an anecdote and a lesson because, of course, this is what I do for a living. So I ended up getting a bad review on the Better Business Bureau and on Google. And she said that she never received her products and that she spent, I think it was something like $85 on her products and never received her products. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with digital marketing, I'm not actually selling any kind of hard products. Like there may be, a book here and there, and those are my products, but they're not. So the more I started to dig, the more I realized that there was a company with a similar name to mine that sold wellness products. So she was like waiting on her vitamins. So I was like, okay. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, I have no idea what this woman is talking about. So I went to the Better Business Bureau and she blew me up there too. So I'm like, oh boy, this is great. So when I started to realize what company it was, I looked into the company and I tried to call them to kind of see that they weren't trying to hear me at all. So I did end up reaching out to her and saying, give me a call so we can make this right. I didn't even get into like it's not being whatever. So I called her up. She lived out in California. So it's a 3 hour time difference from here on the East Coast. And I was in my conversation with her. She's a lovely woman, but she definitely was not terribly savvy. This was probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. And she sounded like she was probably in her 80s at the time. So clearly not a digital native. All this stuff is very new for her. And the company's kind of similar. So as far as like the name is concerned, I think it was kind of Go Beyond Wellness or something like that. So I was like, okay, I don't sell the products that you're talking about. And she started getting mad at me. So I'm like, all right, so we're going to do this together. So we figured out, and I'm not even kidding, I was on the phone with this woman for a while. So we figured out where she should be getting her products from. We three-wayed the other company, and I'm like, and her name was Betty, and I'm not even kidding, her name was Betty. So I'm like, all right, Betty. I was like, let mommy do this. I got you. So I kind of was like, so who's in, and the person I spoke to was like some kind of like customer service person. I'm like, I don't take a no from somebody who doesn't have the power to give me a yes. So who around there is in charge of something? Because I'm not trying to hear your mess. So I got them on the phone, and it turns out it was a mistake. And I guess they gave it to her. They accidentally gave it to like her neighbor, like a block down or something like that. Or it was something about the address was wrong. So now I have to go through the painstaking process of actually having her change the Better Business Bureau one, but the Google one, she
Ooh.
really didn't do anything about. Yeah, so that was tricky. But the Better Business Bureau, you can actually get somebody. Google's a little bit different. I just happen to be in the space where I know that you can actually push back. And this is kind of what I want the people who are listening, that if you do have a false review, you can fight it. And Google Business Profile is a free service. So they're not exactly falling all over themselves to have a customer service team for the free service they offer. So it is a bit of a trick, but you can fight it. You can say, like, I appeal this and this is not true. This person never worked with us. And it takes a minute, but they will take it down. So just know that if you get a false review, it's a little annoying of a process, but you can actually get those fake reviews taken down. And if it's just a flat out negative review where it's kind of like, yeah, we did screw that up, or they just address it. So, sorry for the sidebar, but I did want to make sure that you guys can realize that you can actually oppose them. I don't necessarily say you call everybody and have a 3 hour conversation, but
yeah, but I think it's great that, there are ways to sort of fight back when something is really not your business. It's not about
right.
your business. If there's a mistake, I think that happens with a lot of things in life, even like your credit bureau.
Yeah.
Can have something in there and you are like, why is my credit, this low? And when you look at the details, you're like, I never even bought that. I don't have that credit card or whatever it is. So you have to appeal and all of those things. So it does help then change. And so the same thing is with the reviews. And if you have more people saying positive things than negative things, then, counteract, the end results for people to then be able to decide, do I want to risk doing business with this company or buying the product from this company, or I don't really care, I just want it, whatever the case may be, right? So it's good for our audience to know that there are ways to work these things out, and you don't have to stay in the negative side of the event.
So yeah, I think some things that we need to remember are customer reviews are really powerful, for sure. We also need to remember to keep it professional. I was younger back then, but for the rest of us, keep it professional. But we need to ask for the reviews. We need to showcase them, and we need to turn them into marketing content to help your business grow. And just like you said, a negative review, all you do is respond to it and learn from it.
That's right. So one other thing that we have seen that works really well too, and I remember I saw this thing and it was in a restaurant and it said, if you loved your experience, tell everyone. And if you didn't love your experience, tell us. And I just thought that was like, I was like, wow, that's really, I forget where I was. It was like out west somewhere. It was a really great little thing. There's a digital way to do this too via email, where, you give them a little bit.ly link, or you give them just like, hey, here's Google, if you could leave us a review. And then in the email also, you can say, if for some reason you feel that you can't with your whole chest tell us how much you love us in a public setting, or if there was something that's like, yeah, it was okay, but I'm not leaving you a good review, tell us why. See if give us the opportunity to not only make it right in our own processes, but to make it right with you. So
Right.
before it actually gets to a point where they blow you up. And make no mistake, some people just live to blow you up. Sometimes they just, you can even look on some of the Google reviews, and if they're given negative reviews, you just look at all their reviews and you're like, oh, you blow up everybody. You don't leave good reviews, you only leave bad reviews because you're a miserable human, and that's unfortunate for you.
Listen,
But
there's haters everywhere.
there's haters, straight up, there's haters. I'm actually excited. I think haters are a metric for success, if I'm honest, but I'm going to say that out loud. But like I was saying, with regards to the emails, like just put it in there and like give them the opportunity to leave you a glowing review, but give them the opportunity to help you glow up. Like where can we get better? So it's just another way to like leverage those reviews for yourself, either, and it's both positive, whether it's a negative review and you fix it, or it's a positive review and you share it. Doesn't really matter. So it's all good. All good.
Exactly. So if you haven't already started asking for and leveraging those reviews today, and don't forget, if you love breaking even better,
Speaking of reviews,
leave us a review. We'll love to hear from you, whether it's good or bad.
Good, better, and different. We'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow, subscribe, and share this episode with a fellow business owner who needs to hear this. And see you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Breaking Even Better podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. To connect with our podcast or any of us individually, make sure you head to the show notes for all the links you need. See you in the next episode.